From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The West End's new medical university is preparing for its first crop of students.
I was very impressed with Dr. Park, the dean.
Plus, more people are being diagnosed with a tick-borne illness that used to be rare in Montana.
It wasn't nearly as hard on me as it was on my wife.
And Lockwood Public Schools is about to undergo a major leadership change. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Wednesday, April 26th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Augusta McDonald. Happening today, the Montana House will consider disciplinary action against Missoula Representative Zoe Zephyr. This afternoon, members will discuss a motion to decide if her conduct during protests this week violated rules surrounding collective rights, safety, dignity, integrity, or decorum. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has new details this morning about these unprecedented few days at the Capitol.
Normally, the Montana House would debate and vote on bills here in their chamber in the afternoon, but it didn't happen on Tuesday. In the morning, House leadership decided to cancel the day's scheduled floor session. It came after a full day of protests Monday that ended with demonstrators in the gallery interrupting House debates. Democratic Representative Zoe Zephyr, a transgender woman, has not been allowed to speak on the floor since last week, after Republicans objected to her saying they should be ashamed and would have blood on their hands over a ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth. Protesters began shouting and chanting, "Let her speak." Throughout the demonstration, Zephyr remained on the floor, holding her microphone over her head. A law enforcement civil disobedience team eventually cleared the gallery. 7 people were arrested for criminal trespass to property, a misdemeanor, 6 from Missoula and 1 from Great Falls. Republican leaders called the event a riot in a statement. On Tuesday morning, House Speaker Matt Regier spoke to reporters for just over a minute, calling the incident a dark day and criticizing media coverage.
Headlines that have happened over the last week stating that the Montana House leadership or GOP has silenced anyone is false. Currently, all representatives are free to participate in House debates while following the House rules. The choice to not follow House rules is one that Representative Zephyr has made.
Regier then left without taking questions. House Minority Leader Kim Abbott said the protest was not violent and disagreed with calling it a riot. She doesn't believe the rules have been enforced consistently, and she called the speaker's actions extreme.
So I was not surprised that there were protests. I think Montanans know what's fair and what's not fair. And what we've seen is, a duly elected public official not being recognized on the floor to engage in free debate that disenfranchises her community, her constituents.
I did speak to Zephyr. She said that she again feels that it's Speaker Regier's decision not to allow her to speak, and that she also believes that the rules haven't always been applied consistently. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
So at 1 o'clock this afternoon, the House will discuss Zephyr's potential rule violations during Monday's protests. Galleries will be closed to the public, but you can watch this all online. Representative Zephyr tweeting last night, quote, "I have been informed that during tomorrow's floor session there will be a motion to either censure or expel me. I've also been told I'll get a chance to speak. I will do as I have always done, rise on behalf of my constituents, in defense of my community, and for democracy itself." And we'll, of course, let you know right here on Q2 how this all plays out tonight at 5:30. And new this morning, Lockwood Public School Superintendent Tobin Novazio is resigning. At a special board meeting last night, Novazio announced his last day on the job will be June 30th. This comes on the heels of a Bighorn County News report that Hardin Public Schools offered Novazio its open superintendent position. At this time, we cannot confirm if he's planning to take that job. Hardin's current superintendent, Chad Johnson, recently resigned to take the same position in Livingston. Lots going on, Miller, and but things are slowing down a little bit in the weather world.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be nice.
Another beautiful day on the way as we take a live look outside. That is a Planet Mongo
gorgeous.
morning. Flash, wah, he'll save every one of us. Have you seen that movie yet?
No.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas.
Okay. I'll see it a year after everyone else.
One of these mornings I'm going to learn.
Course.
Yeah. All right, yeah, it's a beautiful start out there with the sunrise. It was a gorgeous day yesterday, a good 6 degrees above the norm when we hit that high of 65. Overnight low right on target, though. A bit breezy yesterday. Now, those winds starting off along the Beartooth foothills tonight and moving to the east tomorrow, including us, really going to start to pick up. We could have gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour with this storm system that's going to be coming in from the north. And we'll break it all down with the main forecast coming up. Moisture Temperature totals for the month and for the year, we're in the hole. The snow totals way in the hole, and we're not going to catch up to those snow totals this month, folks. In fact, we don't have any snow in the forecast here locally for Billings at all. We have some rain, maybe off to our west like Cook City, could pick up some snow off of this system that's going to be coming in tomorrow. 43 right now at the airport, feels like 38. Winds out the southwest at about 9 miles an hour. Temperatures across the area, mainly in the 30s and 40s right now. Highs today, you're going to see a lot more 60s across the board. With this rain tomorrow, it's going to cool us down briefly, and then we're going to warm up nicely for the weekends. Weekend looking at 70s, and not only for the weekend, maybe the early part of next week as well, as May looks like it's going to start off drier and warmer than average this year. So we'll take a look at that and break it all down with the main forecast coming up.
Okay, Miller, thank you so much.
Okay.
And it's going to be beautiful. Many of us love getting outside in the springtime, but you have to remember to be mindful of ticks right now. The insects can carry horrible disease, as one Laurel man now understands far too well. Q2's Russ Reisinger has this story.
It was 5-6 years of hell.
That's how Len Orth describes his long battle with Lyme disease. Not long after a hunting trip, he noticed one of the telltale signs.
Bullseye. Yeah, they're kind of heavy red on the outside and another red circle in the middle.
But didn't give much thought to it at the time.
I had forgotten about the rashes. I really didn't think of Lyme.
He began to have problems with his memory, excruciating headaches and other strange symptoms doctors had no explanation for. They even began to suspect that he may have early onset dementia.
We refer to it as catatonic. I would sit with my eyes closed, or I'd be in bed sleeping almost all day long. I rarely opened my eyes. I was a wreck, Russ. It was awful.
Later, he learned Lyme disease was likely the culprit.
There's about 5 years of my life that I have a handful of memories from. And so it wasn't nearly as hard on me as it was on my wife.
The ticks that cause Lyme are not native to Montana, so it's understandable that doctors didn't suspect it, but it's not unheard of here.
We're seeing a migration of ticks that we've never seen before in the state. So it's important to be careful when you're out and about checking your body for ticks, because now we are seeing an uptick in Lyme disease with the increase in climate temperature.
The most common symptoms of tick-related illnesses include fever and chills, aches and pains, and distinctive rashes. Dr. Saunders says if you're at any kind of brushy area, even here in town, that it's important to check for ticks.
They like to hide in belly buttons, they like to hide behind ears, on your dog in the little leg crevices, make sure you check there, and even on their eyelids.
Saunders suggests letting your doctor know if you've been bitten, definitely if you notice a rash. She says both Lyme and Rocky Mountain spotted fever can be treated with antibiotics successfully, especially if found early.
Give ear to my words, O Lord.
As for Len, he's now singing an entirely different tune. He says he still has some short-term memory problems, but has returned to doing many of the things he loves once again, like hunting and playing the piano.
It just blew me away that I could do that after coming out of such a long, it's such a blessing.
There is a chance people infected in the future will be spared these horrible symptoms. A new Lyme disease vaccine could soon be available. Both BioNTech and Pfizer are working on a shot to treat the illness. It's in late-stage trials, and the hope is that it will get FDA approval by 2025. The owners of a Billings daycare are hoping to figure out who's breaking into their van. It's happened twice in 3 days at Little Pumpkin Patch, and some of the details are pretty gross. The first time, employees found the van was covered in urine and alcohol, reeking of cigarette smoke. This is a vehicle meant to transport kids. After getting it all cleaned up, workers made sure it was locked. That didn't matter. Somebody broke in again, this time doing some really expensive damage.
We've lost our screen, as you can see, and then the dash itself actually is broken and flops now. It doesn't stay put. And then right above the middle of the seats, that's where our TV used to be mounted.
Small children ride in those vans, and you're damaging something that we use for a child care facility. It's not like it's a big money thing. It's, we use that for pick up kids from school, really for our community, and it's heartbreaking.
Unfortunately, daycare owners say they don't anticipate finding the person responsible. And new this morning, U.S. military officials announce a high-ranking ISIS leader is now dead. The terrorist helped orchestrate a suicide bombing that killed 13 U.S. service members. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
Almost 2 years since the deadly blast that killed 13 American troops at Kabul's international airport, the U.S. has confirmed that the ISIS mastermind behind the attack was killed by the Taliban. U.S. Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover was one of the 13. His father, Darren Hoover, says he was told yesterday of the ISIS leader's death.
Nothing's going to bring Taylor back, and we understand that. We get that. He set his legacy, and nothing's going to take that away.
The U.S. is not releasing the name of the mastermind, and Pentagon officials say the U.S. was not involved in the Taliban operation that took him out.
I don't care who it was that killed him. It's one less terrorist that we have to worry about.
The August 2021 suicide bombing happened near Abbey Gate during the final chaotic days of the U.S. drawdown from Afghanistan. More than 100 Afghan civilians were also killed. Marine Corps Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews survived.
I'm thrown 12 feet onto the ground. I open my eyes to Marines dead or unconscious lying around me.
U.S. officials learned of the ISIS leader's death weeks ago, although not from the Taliban. Instead, officials made the determination from their own intelligence gathering. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Back here in Billings, the 80 students making up Rocky Vista University's inaugural class will be arriving before you know it. They'll make their way to the new West End Medical School for classes beginning in mid-July. One of those students, Justin Paulo, just graduated from MSUB. The Oregon native fell in love with Montana. He's raising his 4-month-old daughter here. And while he's thrilled he can pursue his future as a medical doctor in Billings, he still needed a little convincing before committing to RVU.
It wasn't until my interview day that I really decided to stay here. I was very impressed with Dr. Park, the dean. He answered all of our questions and left us with no doubts. He was just very inspiring.
RVU is a private university. The annual cost to attend is around $60,000. Tuition at public medical schools come in closer to $53,000. And this week, Billings is hosting some of the best cribbage players in the world. Victory isn't in the cards for all competitors, but just about everybody is having a good time. Q2's Charlie Kleps reports.
Over the past 4 days, nearly 70 cribbage players from all over the country have crammed into this room at the Hampton Inn for a first-of-its-kind tournament in Billings. It's a competitive game, but it's also an opportunity for many of these people to reunite with old friends. Cribbage might just be a game for you and me. But for Eric Locke, it changed his life.
Hanging out with the wrong crowd back when I was younger, and I needed something to do with my life and get my head on the right path, and it's been the best decision I ever made.
The Portland, Oregon resident started playing professionally when he was just 17. Today, he's ranked 5th in the entire world.
Cribbage just took me a lot of places I probably would have never been in my life.
That list now includes Billings, Montana, which is hosting the city's first ever sanctioned cribbage tournament.
Took a week and a half of vacation, come out, and never been to Billings before, so why not?
But it isn't just professionals sitting at the tables.
I wanted to play more, so I could play cribbage all day long.
Butte native Kathy Jo Neff came just for fun. She says these tournaments are a great opportunity to meet new people.
You get to meet so many wonderful individuals, and you get to have a great time enjoying listening to their stories.
You know, you kind of characterize yourself as the cribbage family. You know, you get quite familiar with people, and it's good to see them again.
Tournament director Greg Dibble says the inaugural event has been a massive success, which was strategically planned to happen just days before yet another tournament in Deadwood, South Dakota.
This is the first tournament that we've held of this nature. We had no idea what to expect in terms of participation, and we've been very pleased with the result. We've had people from coast to coast.
And Locke will be among those hitting the highway and heading east, a cribbage fanatic who travels coast to coast playing the game he loves.
Come support these tournaments and help the cribbage going on for the younger generation.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.